my goal should be more centered around the program and building the foundation. Because every time we've met, we've also talked about what the future looks like and what the structure looks like. And if the results are kind of speaking for themselves and we're seeing growth with the students that are in these labs, like how can we make sure that that grows and continues? So I was tasked with coming up with 4 things. So at some point I'm gonna sit down with Guy and probably Punches, and I'm gonna make a pitch. And I'm gonna ask for 4 things. And hopefully get 2 of them. That's kind of what we're shooting for here, you know. And so very vaguely, I wrote down the 4 things that I wanted to ask for were scheduling. So more of a like structured schedule as far as teachers go, where we're not like the lab teachers are more aligned.
It needs to revert back to the way we did it last year.
Okay, what do you mean?
So it was just Vega and I did, like, so it was me and Vega. We did 5, we don't need 5 classes probably, but we did 5, yeah, cause I had film studies. So we did 5 classes and it was she and I. Like I didn't have like 3 different co-teachers doing the math.
Okay.
Or the 9th grade combining with the 10th grade for math.
We didn't do, 9th grade was an anomaly because we didn't have that extra math person, so. And now we're missing even more math people.
Yeah.
So I don't know what that looks like, but.
So as far as scheduling goes, ideally there would be 1 partnership for each grade level.
Yeah.
Is what we're saying.
Yeah. And it'll probably be, I think for 10th grade we could whittle it down to 2 sections.
I think we could for freshmen too, honestly.
But you had 5 last year.
I had 5 last year. Because that group didn't have reading as 9th graders. Cause this year's
group.
right, cause this year's 10th graders are the first group where they all had reading as 9th graders. And so just from that addition, we went from 5 sections to 3. And those 3 sections are all small compared to, like we had 15 kids 5 times last year. Like, so they were big groups.
And so basically
So we went from like 60 kids last year to like 30 kids this year.
And you're saying that.
And we could probably.
That decrease is basically fewer kids fell below that.
As a result of them having that 9th grade reading class.
Okay, so the criteria for selecting kids remain the same.
Yes.
But this year fewer kids
qualified.
needed that service. Okay.
Yeah.
And
And the goal for next year would be to decrease that even more. Yeah, it'd be nice to get it down to about 2 sections, about 25 kids.
So maybe 9th grade would need more sections than 10th grade?
Yeah.
Okay.
I did talk to Chrissy about that a little bit today, because she was in our PLT, but.
Did she send you this Seneca's Literacy Improvement Journey?
No.
I'll share this with you.
Perfect.
So it's just like a timeline of all the things that we've done up till now.
Oh, that'd be great. So scheduling is number 1 that I wanted to ask for. Number 2 is space, physical space for the lab. Like obviously you guys have classrooms. When we split though for math, it becomes a little dicey. Like I know Williams is bringing kids down here all the way across the building. Luckily we have the room next door to Buchanan that I use. But it's not, it's not set up ideally. So I was gonna ask for space. Ideally, what does like an ideal math/literacy lab look like? What do we think?
In one room, or
What do you think?
like, well, I mean, I can't really complain. We can next week, but really, I haven't had much issues getting into.
Yeah, the proximate, like.
So
we're
well, that's
good
what I'm
there,
saying. Like
too.
right now,
And that could be
really
part of
right now.
scheduling, right?
It needs to
It's
be,
partnerships.
the rooms need to be close together, or like how Reed and I do it, since they come to us, whichever their designated teacher A is, and then we have second lunch. So they go to lunch, and then they come back to whatever the second teacher is, so that we don't have to deal with that
If we can put it in,
transition.
like lunch class, I feel like that'd be best, just because it's a natural break anyways. When it's like, all right, then you're going to switch it. That's a real mess.
So that's more like scheduling thing.
The classroom across the hall for me, if I'm staying where I am, is technically no one's classroom. And I know that Hannon and Driscoll are teaching one-on-one next year. so I don't know who will be in there, but that's a thought.
So just maybe when they're doing the master schedule for next year, just keeping in mind who are we gonna have teaching lab.
Because
and
Rita and I
making sure that
tried
they're-
doing it together in the same room and just running stations, and it was no bueno.
Good. Mm.
Now, you and I could probably do it with that group of kids that we have, because they're much, it's a much smaller group, they're much more
This word,
compliant.
Like we have,
multiple.
what is it, in my room at least, we have 2 boards.
Yeah, but the levels in that class are very, like, so drastically different too. Like PW compared to MS, like, drastically different.
I mean, going back to when we split, that's made a huge difference,
Yeah.
in my opinion,
I agree.
when we kind of homogenize the groups.
Yeah.
I will say that being in that vacant room next to your room is not great.
No.
You know, it just feels, the vibe is not, you know,
Yeah, because it's not
being
yours.
in a math room, even when we were in Yamas's room while you were out, it felt like a math class.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So,
And that was, again, the benefit of it just being me and Vega last year, is that it was hers and it was her classroom and it was a math classroom, and
Mhm.
so it felt like 2 distinct classrooms. It was
Okay.
2 distinct classrooms.
all right. So the third thing that I was going to ask for was staffing. We've already kind of addressed that, but you suggested. So scheduling, I guess more scheduling wise, if we had 2 sections of say 10th grade, having them 3rd and 7th period would be ideal, scheduling wise, and then
Mhm.
staffing wise, like a more of a straight up partnership where.
Mhm.
Okay.
If you, to circle back to your benchmark question, for placement in the lab class, it's 380 is the, like, they need to be below 380.
Okay. And fewer kids were below that this year.
And then there's also CAPT measures and maze screeners, so we've got like a bunch of different screeners that we're looking at all of those different components when we're considering placing them. And that's linked in that document that I just shared with you too.
And do you think that, I'd love to hear you weigh in on this, Jonas. If we continue to use literacy as the benchmark to get kids in here, should all of them also get math? Or do we need to find a better,
Like PW in our class, it really just drives a lot sometimes. I'm gonna tell them, okay, let's wait for everybody else, because it is kind of mismatched.
so this is a student that is higher
Yeah.
level in math and then,
Yeah, and
What-
honestly, I'm surprised his English was also low enough to qualify that. I mean, you can nitpick some stuff, but I mean, all kids could basically use some degree of math. I don't have a problem with that.
okay.
We can balance it out in terms of splitting and whatnot, getting, like dividing it at least in 2 groups.
Right.
Kind of working at it that way. But every kid could use some kind of extra math, remedial math. I don't feel like we get enough practice in and whatnot.
Williams is splitting my 4th period and Jackson's 4th period, but Jackson has a lot more kids.
Right.
But I will say, having 6 kids and only missing 2 of them for part of the period is kind of hard for me to like teach 4 kids one thing, and then when the other 2 come back, teach just those 2 kids the same thing, while the other 2 that don't go
So-
anywhere are still listening.
Oh, so you have that going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And why those 2 and why?
She actually asked the freshman math teachers, like who they would recommend.
I see.
So that's where that ended up.
So you're doing it the other way, where only the students that have been identified for math are being pulled.
And that's just for 4th period. For 3rd period, I have Reed, and she's taking half the class, and then sending them after lunch, sending those kids back in.
You
swap
guys
them.
swap, which is what all the other labs are doing.
Yeah.
But because that one period, Williams has your class and Jackson's
Yeah.
class,
You're
you
way
have
too
to
hard
do
to
it
do
the
that
other
with
way.
Jackson's, because Jackson's got probably almost 30 kids, not more, in her room. So
Uh-huh.
I struggle to find just too many cases where a kid does not that great on a benchmark in English, and the math score doesn't kind of also
level it.
kind of level with that score. It's also like could use some supplemental work there.
And then,
Some really
I guess, the natural, like, if we were gonna really, I don't know, if expand is the word. But could we go the other way too? Could we find a measurement tool for math and any student identified for math would also get literacy?
Oh,
Yeah, and that has been, I think, just the struggle for, like, there's not a good screener for
Right.
math, and they've been like working to try to develop one, and I think that was part of like a lot of our conversation in that Zoom meeting was like, how are we identifying these kids for math, or what are we gonna use as a screener? Because they're abundant
Mm.
for literacy, and they're not for
Last year
math.
was